as a veteran small business owner, what can we do for you?
What we can all do for all veteran business owners is promote each other.
My main mission was to look at tools of technology to leverage small business and give them more of a competitive advantage.
My mission for Veteran Bargains is very simple: to help vets.
That story in itself, to run for Vista City Council, is a journey.
I think this is an opportunity to really collaborate with those gone before us.
It's really kind of a labor of love.
And now your host.
Good afternoon. Happy Friday. I'm your host, Laura Torres, at this Veterans Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining us and for being part of our community in actions. These segments that bring you live community heroes who are making it happen to better our veteran community. In the back, we have our producer, Michael Wood, our founder and CEO, Joseph Molina, as well as our social media and engagement manager, Dali Rivera, who will be joining me as co-host. And today we have a very, very special guest. We have very special guests. We have two amazing advocates who are changing for change, very unique communities, but they're all doing their part to make sure that our veteran community is thriving and moving forward in a positive change in communities in action. So I have Liz Hensel, who is a Marine Corps veteran, founder of No Paws Left Behind USA, also the creator of Latina She Serve podcast, featuring Latina service members who have been involved in the military, wearing your uniform, and creating great storytelling. So make sure that you connect and stay engaged with her. Are also going to have our segment Intermission. We are going to talk about our November fundraiser. It's going to be a really great opportunity and ways for you to get involved, as well as we also have an incredible friend from all the way from Florida, Phil Scarpelli, CEO of Brevard Family Partnership, protecting children, straightening families, changing the lives, and making sure that they're leading the way in behavioral health care and child welfare services. So make sure that you put your comments and then you follow as well. So this is your weekly Veterans Radio Show where we feature veterans, military spouses, and community members who are part of our veteran community. And make sure that you follow us on LinkedIn and that you stay connected, because we want to make sure that we connect you as well to the small business options, as well as our veteran community. And without further ado, I'm going to welcome all of our guests, as well as my co-hosts, Dali, Liz, and Phil. Come on in so that I can do a warm greeting, as well as my CEO, of course.
Hi,
Welcome, everyone. Greetings. Let's start real quick, just around and make a nice warm introduction.
Which way?
We'll start with ladies first, Liz or Dali. Go ahead, Liz.
All right. Hi, everyone. I am Liz Hensel.
Hi, I'm Dali Rivera.
Mr. Phil.
Good afternoon. I'm Phil Scarpelli.
And I'm Joe Molina, Executive Director for the National Veterans Chamber of Commerce. And I would like to welcome you and thank you for your participation in our show. I also would like to thank our behind-the-scenes people, Michael and Jimmy, and also special thanks for Shelly, who is also supporting us from posting. And I think she's a little bit under the weather, so we want to wish her a great health, and just wanted to say thank you to everyone for participating in our show. And Laura, our host today, and our co-host Dali, thank you very much for doing this for us. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yes. So this is a whole community collaboration here, buddies, friends, everyone out there, audience. This is a real community in action taking place, because we have people behind the scenes from home, and we have, of course, out here, great, incredible people who are making it happen. So without further ado, let's go real quick and talk to Liz and Phil. We're going to have you here, stand by, but please feel free to join in and make comments and ask questions. Get involved, but we're going to go and dive in with Liz, because we're very interested about her work, what she's been doing, and most importantly, how she's growing this very unique community in Latina She Serve podcast, supporting Latina service women who have participated in the veteran and warrior community. So thank you. Let's dive into Liz. How are you, Liz?
I'm pretty good. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Absolutely. And where are you joining us from, if I may say, just like the state, if you want?
Virginia.
Okay, so you are definitely enjoying, you're with Dali right there,
Yes.
enjoying the weather.
Yes, enjoying.
So, enjoying. So sending you warm hugs from sunny San Diego out here.
Jealous.
Absolutely. So, Liz, tell us about your military story, the first one unique story that comes in mind, either whether when you join in or as you travel to boot camp. What is the one unique story that you can share with us that we can reflect back and say, oh, yes, I can see that.
So actually, my unique story, I just celebrated, or I don't know if celebrated is the right word, but on the 15th of December was the anniversary of my injury in Afghanistan. I was injured on December 15th, 2010 in Kabul, Afghanistan. I was hit by a car, which resulted in a traumatic brain injury, skull fracture. It left me with seizures, memory loss, syncope episodes, and I was medevaced out of country back to the United States. And during that entire transition time where my memory is very broken of that time, but I knew without a shadow of a doubt that the Marines were taking care of me. I remember landing in in Maryland because I was taken to Bethesda, which is now Walter Reed Hospital, and I remember having like the walls of the hospital lined up with Marines and the families of the other injured Marines. They flew their families over, and I just remember never ever ever feeling alone. There was always a Marine there. And then my home unit, I was stationed with headquarters Marine Corps Henderson Hall at the time. I remember my supply officer actually, he definitely, he fought for me. He let me know that those Marines were there for me. And it was just a testament of why I joined the Marine Corps in the first place. That bond, that sisterhood, that brotherhood, that we never leave a Marine behind.
That's a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that. That is, although it came as a result of personal challenge experience, and I'm sad that you experienced this injury over in Afghanistan. I'm sure that it turned into a positive, just ratifying a little bit more of what the experience in the military and why you started to begin with, right? What led you to create it to that bond and that camaraderie, the sisterhood, the brotherhood that it all brings. Now, in regards to those experiences, though, what about your transitioning out of the military and finding your place out in the civilian? What was that like for you?
Oh man, so that was rough. That was very rough. I thought I was going to be a lifer. I had a plan that I was going to be a sergeant major one day. Like the Marine Corps was my life. And after I got hurt, I was a mom. My daughter, I think she wasn't even a year old when I got hurt. I think she had just turned a year old, but she was little. And I got filled with this fear of this little girl growing up without her mom. So I was like, okay, maybe this career path is not the right path for me. So I got out of active duty and I got out without a plan. I didn't know because the Marine Corps was my life. So I dabbled into different things. My mother and my aunts, they come from a line of master estheticians. So I went to cosmetic school and I got my license to be an esthetician. And I was good at it, but it didn't fulfill me. There was no passion there. And then 2011 is the year that I got out. And it's when I faced I call 2011 the year of my demons because I was diagnosed with PTSD. And then I got pregnant with my second one. So PTSD plus hormones, hot mess express. It was awful. But thankfully, there were many resources that I could lean on to ensure that I had the help and the support that I needed. And eventually, I found my path, and it was in the GS world, having a clearance. The Marine Corps definitely, if you use the Marine Corps right, it will set you up for success, and that's regardless of what military branches. Like, you utilize the resources that are handed to you. People have to pay money to get clearances. We don't, So I utilized those resources. I utilized the resources that they gave us for resume writing And I ended up with a really good GS position in New York, where we lived at the time. And then I still couldn't let go of the Marine Corps, so I joined the reserves. So I joined the reserves, and I was drilling in New Jersey, and Hurricane Sandy hit. So I got activated, and they activated a bunch of reservists to go help with the hurricane recovery. And then since that moment, I kind of just kept skipping through different active duty billets, and I just kept getting activated for different supporting billets. And then I met my husband, and I'm also a military spouse as well. He is active duty Marine. Yes, but it was rough when you don't have a plan.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah, and especially probably perhaps maybe because you had a specific goal, and obviously the injury was really unexpected. You were not expecting to do that, even though it can happen to any of us, right? We can all have an accident just crossing the street or just at home. But you definitely had a career plan, which was the longevity, the retirement, and everything. Now, Dali, did any of the story as far as having to choose the mom, active duty, sympathize, or just resonate anything with you?
Definitely. I can totally resonate because I too planned on retiring. I was in E6 and I was actually about to be looked at for E7. And I had 2 babies. And I remember I saw one of my friends who got pregnant at the same time that I did. She got orders while towards the end of our pregnancy. And I thought, oh my gosh, the baby is going to be about 4 months, just 4 months, and she's going to have to deploy for an entire year. And then I started thinking, is that really what I want, for the next 20 years? Well, I had 10 more years to go, but, 10 years that you can never take back, spending time with your children. And my husband he served in the military, and he is disabled. He was disabled at that point already. So I had that responsibility on top of that. And I too didn't have a real concrete plan. I think that when you have that mentality of being a lifer, you don't plan for anything else. There's no, you kind of think you're invincible with your body, knowing very well that you're going to be put in positions where you're going to have to be very rough with your body and push yourself. But for some reason, maybe it's just because we're too young to think through that way, you just don't think of it. So when I got out of the military, I just thought I'll just get a job. I don't know, something will follow. And it was really hard to find yourself. And I too had to deal with the adjustment and learning that I actually had postpartum depression because it was all a lot of change all at once, exiting the military, having a baby. My husband's disabilities got worse, so then I became caregiver. So it was a lot. So I can imagine what your situation was too, because you too had children. So you had your second child after you were already out, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is rough. I mean, I've not been in the military. Of course, I the mom and military spouse sort of thing, but I've also been caretaker for my mom for some time, almost half of our military lifestyle and things. So I cannot, just imagine the choices you have to make, ladies. By all means, I, embrace your strength and applaud your commitment and having to make those sort of tough choices. Now, given that our lives are all filled with a lot of stories, right, and a lot of similar emotions that we all go through as we are transitioning from one life experience to another. Liz, tell us about this fabulous project that I know that when I came in contact with and I saw it, I was like, I have to know more. So you created this podcast that is called Latinas You Serve, which highlights military service women who are part of Latina backgrounds, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So tell us all about it.
So I had the concept in my head for a while. And then it just coincidentally, my older daughter, she is about to be 11 years old. She came to me one day, and so I'm Peruvian. I was born in Peru, parents born in Peru. So very traditional Latina childhood, Catholic, grew up learning the dances, grew up learning how to cook the food. So it's a part of who I am, right? It's that Peruvian culture is part of me. So when my daughter came and told me that this little girl at school told her that she couldn't be proud to be Peruvian because she's just American, she was very confused. She was very like, Mom, I don't understand. Like I love being like I love Peruvian food. Like why is she making me feel ashamed? And so, I had to explain to her that some people think have different views of things. And that's okay. Let's respect everyone's views. But in your heart, be proud to be both. Be proud to represent both cultures. And that's essentially the concept of this podcast is the pride of two cultures. I'm very, 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 very proud to be American. Absolutely. America has opened up so many opportunities and windows for myself and for my family. But I'm also proud to be Peruvian. That's where I was born. That's where my mother is from, my grandparents. That is where our lineage started. I'm proud of the Inca culture, the music, everything. And no one should make me feel ashamed to have that pride of both cultures.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah, I love that. You touched on so much there because my daughter too. So I'm Nicaraguan. I was born in Nicaragua. I came here at the age of 7, and I have two daughters, 14 and 13 right now. And both of them have been told they're not Latina enough because their primary language is not Spanish, or because they weren't born in Latin America. And my husband is Guatemalan, so they're always asking us like, how did you grow up? Every time I look at a woman who's done something amazing, most of the times they're not Nicaraguan or Guatemalan, they're not Central American. So I have purposely been searching for platforms like yours to expose them to, because representation is so important for not just so that they can see themselves in other people, but also to have that at home, to not lose those roots. And it does invoke that proudness no matter what people say to kids, and us too, because I've encountered some people that say, oh, but you're Nicaraguan American. I was like, wait a minute, what does that mean? But another thing I want to touch on is that so I'm a women and gender studies major, and I have been collecting for a long time like bios of women, specifically Latinas, who have done something or who have served. Because every time, if you Google like soldier on Google, you're gonna get a whole bunch of pictures of men, and when you do find pictures of women, they're very sexualized, and that bothers me, because I'm like, I just want a really cool T-shirt or something with like a female, that kicks butt, that was in the military. I don't care what branch. And it'd be nice to see Latinas there too, because when I do find some, they're usually white or Black. Latinas are kind of, ignored. So thank you for creating this podcast and for giving us, a little spotlight. Hopefully it'll keep growing.
Absolutely. Me too. I had to take a little break because of Thanksgiving, and my husband was overseas and he just got back. But however, I already have a list of guests, and like my first guest on that podcast she's been a longtime friend of mine, Virginia, and she was part of the Lioness program, which were specific female Marines that would go out with the infantry Marines to go do security checkpoints on Afghani women. That was their job. So they were out there with the infantry guys, my friend, and I'm not being biased, even I tell her this all the time, I think she is just incredible. Virginia is incredible. And she actually sworn in her citizenship in Saddam Hussein's palace. Like, how many people can say that?
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So that is really phenomenal and fantastic, and such a great just power boost to our community right now. Although I just want to remind everyone, we are here at the Veteran Chamber of Commerce. We all serve as the one unit, and so we love to being able to bring in and showcase all unique stories so that we can all be just embrace and help each other and serve and together grow as one. And we're very happy that Liz here is sharing her story and sharing her podcast, as well as how she is supporting veteran women who have very unique backgrounds, as well as very unique communities, so that we can embrace our uniqueness and our stories and be comfortable out in our community. I also have Phil Scarpelli, who will be here in a little bit and will join us to talk about child services and all the great work that they're doing as well over in Florida. Now, Liz, real quick for you, given that you mentioned you launched this as something that you had for a long time. But if we were to look at this, so we're a veteran chamber, we're a business, right? We're here to support small businesses. So what is one thing that you wish you would have known before that you know now about creating your podcast or any business or any other initiative that you have taken under your wing?
Equipment. Equipment matters. Like, I have never done a podcast ever in my life. I am a complete novice, and I have been I created a nonprofit, Leave No Paws Behind USA, and I was interviewed before in different podcast formats for that nonprofit. However, I've always been a guest. I have never run anything. Programs, equipment, no idea. So maybe like a one-stop shop of, hey, you want to create your own podcast, here's what you need. There was a lot of trial and error involved, but thankfully my husband is really good at researching, so he really helped me a lot with setting a lot of my equipment up. And then I reached out to the other people that I have interviewed with questions. I'm not afraid to ask questions. I will ask a million questions. I'm like, is this right? Does this sound right? What about this equipment? And they have been so helpful. But having a resource page of like, hey, completely new, no idea what I'm doing, but I want to try, that would be a great resource to have when it comes to podcasting.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that checklist. And that is one thing that we hear throughout the show all the time with our producer in the back. He's always, coaching us and teaching us and helping us with the lighting, with the setup, with the background and all those things. And so that's one of the great things about belonging to this particular show, that we have a great production behind the scenes who always tells us what to do the best way. Now, if there's one thing that we can help you and we can help you get out there to our community, what is one thing you can share with us so we can help you grow or amplify your message?
Our social media website, Leave No Paws Behind USA, of course, my nonprofit. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. And then for the Latina She Served podcast, again, we have a website, latinasheserved.com. Latina She Served on Instagram and Facebook. And if you have a story to share, just send me a message through the website for sure. I would love to get as many guests as possible and as many stories out there.
Now, I don't want to be unkind to your other nonprofit, Leave No Paws Behind. I do want to know a little bit more of that. So if you can briefly just tell me a little bit about that. What is that? What is that project all about? And then, of course, we'll go online and we'll research a little bit more and connect.
So Leave No Paws Behind USA started when we were moving from California to Japan. We found out that there is a huge lack of resources for families who are moving to OCONUS locations or PCSing to OCONUS locations. The information all over the place, depending on what branch of service you are, from the medical paperwork, from the number of pet spaces to get your pet on a flight to go to country A, B, or C. So when I found out that there was this lack of resource, I knew I had to do something, because we have a German Shepherd Prince. That's our guy. There's no way we could ever leave that guy behind. So it started out as an advocacy platform to essentially create or add a budget to ensure that when military families have orders to overseas locations, there's a budget for that they can afford that. Because right now, military families are paying anywhere from $3,000 to up to $10,000 to move their pets. And you think about an E4 family, E6 family, they don't have $10,000 like that, So it's like, for me, it's really important to help these families, or bring the awareness. Most importantly, bring the awareness, because people have no idea that this is an issue.
Yeah, I know. And I've read the stories, but I know I always tell my folks, my peeps here in the house, we have no commitments to any pets, because number one, they deserve better. We don't have the time. And then number two, if we need to travel, things is it's such a hassle overseas and all that stuff. So yeah, so for the sake of emotions and mind, we have opted to not have anything permanent right now.
That's the responsible person right there. It's the amount of dogs or cats they just get, like, well, we can't bring them with them, too expensive to bring them, let's go take them to the pound. Like, this is a lifetime commitment for sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And you know well, I'm sorry. And
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I just want to point out that this is even more important now because a lot of service members are using service animals as their coping buddy. I know that for my husband, it has been very, very helpful. And we have 3 Shih Tzus, so I cannot imagine paying that much per dog. It's just ridiculous. So thank you for taking that initiative on. It's really good to know about it.
Well, you got to think about the locations that these families go to, right? For our location, Japan, the Navy have it really bad in Japan. Their deployment schedule is ridiculous. Those guys are gone. They might as well just be deployed when they go to Japan, but they get to bring their families over there. So a lot of the time you have your spouse and children by themselves about 80% of the time that you're in Japan. So then you're going to take away that one comfort person, that one comfort animal away. I don't think that's fair.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we can definitely have a huge debate and discussion about this, but most importantly, just bringing spotlight to the issue. I think that's a great groundbreaking, just, bringing discussion and making people aware that these are some of the issues that exist for military lifestyle families, as well as solutions. Liz here has presented 2 great solutions for communities, very unique situations. So we definitely look forward to continue to collaborate. And I invite you, I'm going to real quick change course here of discussion. I'm going to bring in Joe so we can talk about our November fundraiser that we had and acknowledge our sponsor, Bruce Long from Perfecto Coffee. Perfecto Coffee. I love that. I remember I tease him all the time throughout November. Perfecto. Because I love his sign, everything else. So, Joe, how did we do in November? What was this fundraising all about? And how can other organizations or companies get involved with us to do this? Oh, you are on mute. Tell us. Don't keep it all to yourself. Yes.
No, just wanted to really thank Bruce for his initiative and his leadership on help and conducting the fundraiser. It was really an initiative that we had a brief discussion. He wanted to support. What can I do? How can I help during this veteran? November is Veterans Month. We celebrate Veterans Day, so Veterans Month. And so what can I do? And he said, I would like to donate this much per cup of coffee for the whole month. And it's like, oh my gosh, that would be awesome. So he did that for the whole month. And there is a check with zeros in it that, just basically did this in a very perfect way, very humble. Bruce is extremely supportive of the chamber and the foundation. And the money that he's donated goes to the foundation, goes to the Veterans Foundation USA, which is basically the foundation, the philanthropic arm that helps support other causes, other organizations that are also serving the military and the heroes around the globe. So, it was just an amazing experience working with Bruce, and how other organizations can do the same is very, very easy. Is they decide how much they want to allocate either per product or per customer, and it's really up to the organization to decide what it is. So like in some cases, if they are having, let's say, an ice cream parlor, just to give an example, and they say, we're going to dedicate the vanilla ice cream flavor for the veteran as the fundraiser. So every ice cream that is vanilla flavor, then a percentage of that sale goes to the foundation. Maybe, if it's $1 per ice cream, they donate 10 cents or 20 cents. The organization decides and what they want to participate with. And in exchange, they get, of course, the donation certificate from the Veterans Foundation USA. So they get also tax write-offs for that donation. But Bruce made it in a way that it was very easy to implement, very easy to accommodate. So we really want to welcome more organizations to do the same thing that Bruce did with us. Again, it doesn't, because we don't, as you know, we don't really take donations. We don't want to take people's money that way, but we want to provide an opportunity for people to contribute very little at a time, whatever they can, and the budget allows. Because there's organizations like around the country that are really seeking for funds, and we have the desire to support those programs, whether it's supporting pets, whether it's supporting children, whether it's supporting homeless, military with groceries. I mean, it just nonstop. So the foundation is dedicated to do that. So, but yeah, we want to thank Bruce for giving us that support and for kind of proving that it's very easy to do this if we just put our minds to it. And as you know, Laura, in a Veterans Chamber of Commerce, everything is perfecto.
Perfecto.
And we have no obstacles. We just go for
Absolutely.
it. And we are very grateful for the people that contribute and the people that participate with us, because it's not a contribution, just a contribution for money's sake, but it's a participation. It's an involvement. It's a commitment. It's the brotherhood and sisterhood of the ranks. And all of us who are here, including the people behind the scenes and those who are at home, we all work as one unit. We take the approach of one family. There is no separation for us. There is no ranks. There is no branches. All branches, all ranks, all genders, everything is the same to us. And that's the way we see it. That's the way we love to see it, because we all important, whether it's people who are on the front end, on the front lines, or people who are behind the lines. Anybody. For us, a veteran is a veteran, or an active or a service member is a service member. So we take the whole family approach very, very seriously. And,
Absolutely. And with that, I want to say it's a perfecto way for you to get involved. So thank you so much, Bruce. It's perfecto. Perfecto.
Right.
Thank you for all of your contributions and for your help. And I want to take this opportunity now to switch gears and talk about a great mission in our second guest. So let's stay tuned. Please feel free to join in and make some comments, and we're all going to come back towards the end so that we can all interact and answer some of the posted questions on LinkedIn, as well as on Facebook and YouTube and some other channel out there that Michael has put us on into. But make sure you stay tuned. So right now I want to divide all my attention to Phil, who is here to tell us all about this great work that they're doing out in Florida. And is it just in Florida, Phil? Just coming in and tell me all about it, because I'm very curious about all the great services that you provide on behalf of the children in our community, so that we are better equipped with better knowledge about initiatives that you are creating when it comes to child welfare initiatives and behavioral and everything else.
Yes, thank you. First and foremost, to my co-guests, thank you for sharing your individual stories. They've moved me, and I have such a tremendous respect for your service to our country and those of your family. My father, who's long gone, had served in the Air Force, and my brother has served in the Air Force, and as my brother-in-law has all served in the Air Force, 2 retirees, and have tremendous respect for those who've served our country. And my journey was different. I studied clinical psychology 30 years ago with the intent to work with children and families of trauma. So although my journey may be different, I think empathically and mission-oriented, I think we share maybe a common golden thread about the human condition. And Brevard Family Partnership is the leading child welfare organization in Brevard County, Who's Brevard County, for those of you who are outside of Florida? Well, it's Space Coast. It's where SpaceX is doing all of its great work and taking us and our science and aeronautics to the next generation, if you will. Very exciting time down here. But unfortunately, you know, what continues to exist in our country and around our world, it's the abuse and neglect of our children. And I have been called to this position to lead this organization of 200 plus dedicated professionals who work with children and families in crisis every day. We work with thousands of families annually. And our mission really is to work with families to rebuild them and to give them a hand up and not a hand out. And I am privileged to work for the last 30 years in both the behavioral health care arena and also the child welfare arena, serving these very children and families to bring them together. And when they can't, because of mom and dad's conditions, because we know that worldwide, there are families that are struggling with drug abuse, mental illness, domestic violence, and the likes. And as unfortunate that is, it's a real reality. But as you all know, and probably can attest to the impact of trauma in life, and I learned a lot about trauma in my early years when I was graduating. I went to undergraduate school for psych and then graduate school for psychology. And then shortly thereafter, I had a passion for the martial arts. And I worked under a sensei who did 3 tours of duty as a Green Beret in Vietnam. And we trained long and hard hours in the dojo. And after many nights of training, our gis would be dripping with sweat, and in exhaustion, we'd sit aside as the night grew older, and we'd have many a chat, and he would share with me the graphic details of war. He knew my background, but what he knew more was my compassion heart and my clinical eye and mind and understanding empathically what trauma does to people. It moved me so that I knew that later in my career that, you know, I was destined not only to impact a life, but to impact many a life and help create cultures that are trauma informed. Our organization, Brevard Family Partnership, is extremely trauma informed when we engage families, both who are bound for crisis, in crisis, or at post-crisis. And unfortunately, post-crisis families have children that come into care. Yeah. And one of the things I really wanted to share is my passion for fostering and the over 170 licensed foster homes we have in this one county who are serving these children of trauma in a way that is so unconditional in their love and acceptance of these kids. And I'm inspired by them every day, and every time I have an encounter with them, I remind them that I've been blessed to be a leader in the field, but I'm more blessed to have the privilege to work alongside people who, you know, may not have studied trauma to the depth at which I have, but it doesn't matter because they open their hearts and their homes to these children. And what we know in science today is that, and we've known for many years, quite frankly, trauma can delay a lot of things in the developing minds of young, impressionable children. It could,
absolutely,
right? I mean, it could slow their social, emotional development and so much more. You were going to say.
Absolutely, and I was gonna share. You know, back in my early career days, we relocated to the middle of nowhere, Eastern Oregon, and I became a home visitor for the county, and it was essentially kind of like preventing, you know, probably trying to avoid or escalate the work, so the kids don't get to your sort of a work or your agency, right? It's providing and facilitating the first 3 years of first new parents a healthy approach to different ways to parent. So it was called Healthy Start. So anyway, I learned so much about, just like you said, trauma in the early stages, how that really sets you up for, it will set you up for success or failure, regardless of all your first 9 months. Anyway, it was just a really, really great learning experience as a home visitor, all the in-depth, everything else that we had going on. Anyway, so Phil, tell us a little bit more about your current challenges that you see out in the community. What is the most common challenge that you see out there that we can help or that we can be exposed to?
Well, I can talk until the cows come home about what are the challenges in social welfare. But the two areas that I would love to impress upon our audience tonight, really, quite frankly, is that there are children in need of forever loving families during this interim state of what we call foster care. And what can happen at the time that children are in foster care while the parents are getting services to deal with their mental illness conditions and dealing with their substance abuse issues and many other things that have challenged them is these kids could really begin the healing process in the caring arms and homes of families who give up their time to foster and parent them and provide them the love and structure. Yes.
Yeah, so my question is, this is amazing, by the way. So when there's a family that's fostering children and they need your help, are they assisted financially to pay for the services that you provide, or is this a nonprofit organization that provides it for free to the families?
We are a nonprofit organization. All of what we call dependency case management is paid through us from the state of Florida. And so what we do is we provide the wraparound services to work with mom and dad while the child is healing in foster care. So yes, there isn't charges, and that's actually not the biggest challenge. The biggest challenge really is the growing plague of drug addiction and the use of opioid. And I have to admit, Florida has a big problem with opioids, and we universally have issues with mental illness, and those are the kinds that challenge families. Let me tell you, folks, moms and dads in the system that we work with don't wake up in the morning, contemplating ways to harm their children. They are victims of their own journeys in life and plagued with a lot of things that haunt them in the area of mental illness and substance abuse. And our very unfortunate children become byproducts of that. But we can heal that and we can work with that. And that's what we do here at Brevard Family Partnership. And we're very, very effective in doing so. And we work from kids from 0 beyond 18. And we work with other nonprofits to add to your point there. We can't do this alone. We do it through community. And we look at everyone who's willing to be a part of the process of uniting children with their families to make sure that we mitigate risk factors and provide opportunities for families to heal and grow and become interdependent of social welfare services.
I'm curious, Phil, is there a military caseload? Do you have families that are part of the military or have ties to the military who are going through this process?
Well, we have a very large military base here. We have several bases in Florida. Yes, some of our population served are of families of military background. What I'm also proud is that some of the staff that we employ have had previous military background. And what I love about that is that brings a diversity of people with insight and experiences and understanding of challenges and adversity. Makes them very compassionate social workers.
I think that you bring an excellent point about trauma and how trauma has many different faces. Being a mom of a military kid, I have 2, but when we moved to Japan, that was traumatic for my little one. And we didn't know it at the time, but I think she was so shocked by the move. And children, and I learned this through therapy, they don't know how to express their panic. They don't know how to express their concerns. So their body expresses it for them. And my little one started having seizures. And it only happened twice, but it freaked me out because she had a 0 history of seizures. So we went and she had a plethora of different exams done. Every kind of blood work you can think of because it just came out of nowhere. And then we went to a psychologist and eventually it dawned, we pinpoint that it was the move from California to Japan triggered this in her. Like she didn't know how to express her, like such a big change. And so I just think it's important to highlight that trauma can definitely come in different shapes and forms. And it can be as little as a tiny as a move of a change of your normal environment to something way worse.
It's interesting. In my journey, and I've been blessed. I mean, I grew up in a home of professional people, and my parents were doctors and such. And I've learned a lot about the impact of trauma, not only on social development and impedes educational development, maturational development, and cognitive development. But I don't know if people realize that trauma at a very early age could stunt physical development. I mean, if you think about its impact right down to the neurodevelopment of the human brain and the body and the function, the conditions, it's amazing. But that's just science. Let me tell you what we know in the industry of neuroscience and psychiatry is that when foster parents connect with children, unconditionally loving and giving them the nurturance that they were lacking. And you guys have maybe heard about the studies in Russia many, many years ago, kids in orphanages and stuff like that had no contact and how they grow and develop. But when this happens, when this love, unconditional, and the nurturance and the physical hold and all those kinds of things that reconnect, it can reverse the physiological and psychological impedance on child development. And when I see our foster families working with our foster kids, I just see healing happening every day. And I just wish more people can realize that they can be a part of that process. And so when we promote foster care and adoption with our organization, we look for people who are willing to get a part. And it's not just what you do for the kids, but what in return you get brings so much purpose and meaning to life.
Absolutely. And you know, you as a parent or as a caretaker or someone involved with the child, when you yourself get exposed to better ways, best practices, you know, you can see the difference. I know, you know, we're a family of 4. We have 2 older kids, 10 years apart, the 2 first versus the 2 younger ones. Our level of maturity, of course, was very different for the 2 younger ones. And you see their empathy, their level of, you know, how they, their confidence, everything else, because we were different. We were exposed to different tools. By then I was a home visitor and I knew better. And so it's just a level of responsibility, the thriving and everything else. So thank you so much, Phil, for all this great work that you do and what a great impact you're doing out in the community. How can the veteran help you and support you? And so we can create better initiatives to expose your good work that you're doing.
Well, you know, veterans, non-veterans alike really can get more involved in the child welfare system. We need a lot more foster and adoptive families. We need mentors. I mean, if there are people who are looking from afar and wondering, is it for me? Can I do this? I say volunteer. I say become a mentor. Get to know a foster child, and you will understand the system, the people who work in around the system. You'll understand first-handedly what impact of a healthy adult-child interaction can do. It can change the destiny of a child and their outlook on life. So I would say get in touch with us at brevardfp.org and see what we're about. Call us. We'd love to answer questions. We'd love to invite you to be a part of our family of agencies serving this wonderful community and with children that our message is, you know, we're bringing them hope. We're bringing them hope and opportunity to have all the freedom and liberties and the quality of life that they so deserve.
Absolutely. Thank you. And not only that is their quality of life, but it's also the quality of life of all the other humans and citizens and everyone, the community in general, exposed and connected to these individuals that at some point are going to grow up and are going to be part of our society, right? So it's better, it helps us all. It's all for a good cause in general, because we are all better when we all thrive and be included and grow up in a good, healthy way. So I'm going to bring in everyone so that we can wrap up and share one, just, you know, I guess you can say one call of action, one thought out there, something we can do to better support you and that we can do in general for our community, for your community, for everyone as we continue. Actually, as we reflect back on this 2020 and we take away. So everybody come on in and just tell us, what is one thing that we can do to help you, or that you reflect back on 2020? So
well, being that I was the last one to I was the last one in, I'm going to be the first one out. but I'm just thinking, you know, if you want to enhance your personal life's journey, think about fostering, think about adopting a child. You can change one life that will perpetuate generations of others.
Thank you. That's very beautiful. What about you, Miss Liz?
Do not be afraid to ask for help. Humble yourself if you need the help. There's so many resources out there, whether it be with math homework for child because we all went virtual, right? Like YouTube was my life. How do I do this Common Core thing? Someone help me. To more seriously, COVID has put us in a situation where we're kind of trapped with ourselves. And being veterans with PTSD, that is such a dangerous place to be.
Mhm.
So reaching out to those networks to say, hey, I'm not in a good place right now. Reach out, ask for help. There is nothing braver than saying, I need help.
Absolutely. Thank you. That's very beautiful. And yeah, by all means, support your YouTuber colleagues and friends who are creating tutorials on how to do the basic math, because I'm with you, Liz. I completely forgot some of that basic stuff. And that has been the most precious treasure that I've identified online, some really good communities where I can go back and learn. What about you, Ms. Daly? What is 2020? Something to reflect back that you can, enlighten us with or share with our community?
I actually learned to give myself credit for the things that I undervalue that I've done. And I am making it a conscious effort to do it more publicly in the home so that my children can build that habit, because all of us do so much. And I journal. So I was journaling the other day and I was looking back about everything I've done. I was like, wow, that's actually quite a lot. And if little Dolly, when she was 7, would have thought Dolly's going to do this, that was never in my vision, so we need to acknowledge all the achievements, even the little wins, and remind ourselves that we are more capable than we normally tell ourselves we are.
Absolutely. My biggest win-win for the day usually is I didn't freeze or I didn't run out of internet juice after everybody else has been online for Zoom meetings and video classrooms and everything else. That is the biggest achievement sometimes for my day. What about you, boss, CEO, founder? How do you embrace this 2020 and these challenges?
Well, 2020 started on a kind of, oh my gosh, no, we all freaked out and what's going to happen. But after we learned to adapt, kind of military style, right? Adjust and adapt. And we did. And we now learn to work on these platforms. And we get to meet people like Phil, like Liz, like everybody else. And I love it how everyone came together. Everyone in the chamber supporting the cause and supporting the services, and actually exploded in a so positive way. I'm totally blown away by the response that everyone had through the year, and how we all collaborating. Everyone is participating, whether it's like you, Laura, hosting the show, or Shelly is hosting the shows and alternating with you, and then working with Dali on the social media, Michael behind the scenes, and it just on and on and on. And I mean, we went from having 12, 13 programs. Now we are over 25 programs that we are running, and we have a few in queue that are ready to come up. So it just exploded in a so positive way. So I'm kind of like echo Phil's response. I'm really in awe of all the things that happen, but this gives us an opportunity to learn where the needs are. And I think coming from the perspective of freedom, liberty, and equality for all applies to everything. So whether you're a child with no parents, or a child with horrible parents that they should be put away somewhere, then the rest of society coming forward and taking care of that, supporting with foster children, so important. Getting churches involved in that note, extremely important. So we are actually working on that, Phil, getting churches involved and put up and talk the talk, talk the walk. We want it does you say so. We want you accountable for that. Come forward, do it. Absolutely. Same thing with veterans. We don't, things that happen to our brothers and sisters. Liz, you're a perfect example of how veterans support veterans and how No one left you behind. No one will leave you behind. And that's the way we see it. And Phil, even though you say you didn't serve, but your family did. So you are a son of a veteran. To us, you are one of us. So, and that's what matters, you know. So it's really, really important for me to, and not just, I mean, for what I got out of this, I got way more than I expected. So I'm so grateful, very thankful for everyone who is part of the team. And as more continue to come to the team, I'm so grateful and very humble to say the least. And one thing that I would like to tap into, I already sent Phil an email because we have working with Michelle on the cognitive side of the house, cognitive side of PTSD. That cognitive side is very, very important. So we're working with the researchers. So we have a resource that I want to share with you, Phil, and bring that make that available to your side, to your network, so they can be used. And it's also available like to you, Liz, on your network, because I think taking care of the cognitive side of it is so important, because it's the moment. PTSD is about a moment, and we can have mentors, we can have supporters, but it's that moment when no one is around, that moment of silence, that moment of I don't know what to do. We want that veteran or that person going through a trauma to know what to do, to know the next step, that there is no closed door. So having that opportunity, having that sight, that light in front of them is extremely important. So that's why we support this. That's why we are supporting Hope Global with sex trafficking and domestic violence, because no one should threat anybody with the freedom, the liberty, and the equality that they deserve. No one. So,
and that's a really beautiful way to wrap it up, because that's exactly why we are here, the Veteran Chamber of Commerce, supporting and connecting and working as one unit. So thank you so much for watching. That wraps it up for us today, and we invite you to stay connected and connect with us on LinkedIn. Follow us, and make sure that if you have a very unique story and you want to be the guest, go to our website and submit your interest form so that you can be featured here. We're building our 2021 guest list, so we want you to be part of it. This is the weekly show featuring military veterans, spouses, and community leaders while exploring heroism, action, and leadership for those who are making it happen. Thank you so much. Make sure that you find out on our website at www.bccsd.org.
Before you go, Laura, before you cut me off, I also want to remind everyone that Lori in Florida is our military readers club, military children reading club, and we do this on a monthly basis to bring families together through reading. So Lori is setting up December 28th to be part of that. So join us as Lori reads books for children, but also connects parents who are deployed with their families stateside. So, I mean, what a great opportunity to have. I would love to have watch my children read a book, or for me to read to my children if I'm on a ship somewhere. So join us on December 28th as Lori does this. She's amazing as what she does, and that's how we met Phil. Thank you.
We love Lori Marquez. We love you.
Yeah, yes, that is just exactly right there. We're all one unit, one community, all connected to each other, and we're only just one email away. So make sure, or one profile away. So make sure you stay connected with us. Thank you so much. Have a great holiday season and a very happy new year. Stay connected.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from all of us.
Absolutely.